No Gerrit Cole, no problem. The Twins open a series at Target Field with the Yankees starting today, and they've fared far better at home than in the Bronx in recent seasons. Can the Twins atone for last week's semi-disappointing split? Can they wash the stink off from the just finished National Series? All this and more will be answered on today's episode. So sit back, buckle up, because Locked On Twins starts now.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what do you say? Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We are free and available anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And of course, we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Quickly, we will get past the housekeeping stuff. If you wish, you should be active in the comments, especially on YouTube. We'd love to chat with you. We've gotten a lot of fun stuff. People talking about how they feel about the manager, how they feel about the offense. And not always positive, but it doesn't have to always be positive either. As a reminder, too, if you have questions you want answered on the show, as we have an entire segment dedicated to how fans are feeling coming off this national series, feel free to send them via Twitter at Locked On Min, at Locked On Twins, or at Brandon_WARNE. And two, don't forget to check out the Locked On Twins Breathless post-game minute as soon as we can after the game. We're going to do some of those before games too, see how the reaction is. We'll break down the lineup, kind of what we expect to see, and all that sort of thing. Today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Pro Baseball GM. If you've ever dreamed of becoming an MLB GM and managing your own franchise, this is your opportunity. To download the game, just visit ultimatebaseballgm.com or look it up in your app store, no matter what phone you use. Our listeners get 100% free boost to their franchise. All you got to do is use the promo code Locked On in all caps, all one word. So again, if you've ever dreamt of becoming an MLB GM, this game is for you. Just go to ultimatebaseballgm.com or look it up in your app store and then all caps Locked On for that free boost. And coming up this evening, Monday night at 6:40 p.m., it's Sonny Gray versus Johnny Brito. It's the Yankees at Target Field. And we'll see if the Twins can knock around Brito like they did last time out with 7 earned runs in 2/3 of an inning. If you want to catch every single pitch of that game, you can hang out with Corey and Danny on SiriusXM on the SXM app. All you got to do is search for Twins. All right, so let's dive right in. We are talking about, well, the National Series, which to call it frustrating would probably be underselling it pretty significantly. Dropping the first two only to win the third against Patrick Corbin, but not exactly blow him up. Getting shut down by Chad Kuhl, certainly not cool, pun intended, I guess. Pablo Lopez struggles. The weather in this whole series was a factor, but Twins give up 15 hits in a 10-4 loss. Simeon Woods Richardson kind of soaks it up. 4 2/3 innings, 97 pitches, and then gets sent back to AAA for his reward. But gutsy effort for Simeon Woods Richardson in saving the bullpen, which, not necessarily as important in that rest of the series, but with the Yankees coming up, the Twins are going to want to be in tip-top shape in their bullpen. So getting shut down by Chad Kuhl, not ideal. He only throws 3 2/3 innings of 1-run ball, walks all over the place. But his ERA after the game, 7.36. This is the kind of guy the Twins should have jumped all over instead of getting 1 earned run. Twins 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Nationals 6 for 19. So more about opportunities for the Nationals than anything. But again, Twins just not coming through in the spots they need to against pitchers that they really should dominate. Final game of the series, Twins do just enough against Patrick Corbin to grab the win. Bailey Ober, very good in a spot start. We don't know what that's going to look like moving forward. I know Kenta Maeda is tentatively penciled in to pitch in the Yankees series, but Ober Early on, he gave up a run in the first inning, got into a little bit of trouble, but navigated out of it. And then the rest of the way was solid before handing it over to Thielbar, Jorge Lopez, and Juan Duran to close it out. It's always funny how we perceive series. So the Twins, when they play the Yankees, won the first two, lost the last two. And I feel like that's a lot more negative of an outcome than win, lose, or lose, win, or lose, win. I just feel like maybe as fans, we kind of hone in too much on that last game, because certainly it's positive for the Twins to be coming out of a win against the Nationals, but to only get 3 earned runs against Patrick Corbin, whose ERA sits at 5.88. He's widely considered one of the worst starting pitchers in baseball, and on one of the worst starting pitcher contracts in the game, $100+ million over a long-term deal. Again, this offense just scuffling a bit too much for my taste. With Ober, there's been some people online, Twitter, whatever, talking about maybe putting Kenta Maeda out in the bullpen. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because coming off Tommy John, yes, certainly it's difficult to be a starter, but it's difficult to be a reliever too. You're talking about an inconsistent workload. It's a guy coming off TJ in his mid-30s, so it's not exactly as though you are dealing with a young pup here. And I know he's worked in the pen. I know that he worked in the bullpen with success in the playoffs with the Dodgers, but it was also the point of contention that got him out of Los Angeles in the first place. I'm not sure if it's the right fit. If it is, if the Twins deem it to be, and they feel as though that Kenta can handle that durability-wise, then I guess it is what it is. And I think Bailey Ober deserves a shot to be up here. But one thing I would consider too is Simeon Woods Richardson in a relief role. So it's pretty obvious the Twins don't trust Emilio Pagan, and for good reason. He's just not very good right now. They really don't know what they have in Brent Hedrick yet, in the sense that they're not going to throw him into any sort of big situation unless the situation really dictates that they need him in there. So I think it makes more sense to bring up SWR and give him a shot in middle relief, because there's no real, to me, it's more valuable for him to throw 50 to 60 innings the rest of the way in a big league relief role than it is 20 innings at AAA as a starter. He's 22. He has plenty of, he's got ample experience in the upper levels, but I'd like to see what he can do against big league hitters in short bursts, learn the league in that way, stretch him back out next season, when the rotation is going to probably look a lot more bare with, a few of these guys up for free agency, including Kenta Maeda. I just think having Woods Richardson start at AAA is it's a less valuable thing than having him in the big leagues, and it could help them with their early bullpen issues. Certainly, they have other options as well. Jorge Alcala struggling, not ideal. We'll see if his fastball comes back all the way. But he missed most of a year, and the Twins kind of feel like they're really force-feeding him back into the big leagues. He's been sent back now. But I just think expecting much out of Alcala early this season was probably going to be foolish. If not Simeon Woods Richardson, I think the alternative is probably Josh Winder, who I also think is a great fit in that relief role. But I would like to see a youngster who is a big league caliber pitcher that just there's no room for them in the rotation right now, get a shot in middle relief just to kind of beef up this bullpen. I like the back end. I like the back four, but I would really like to see another guy or two that you can trust in the, let's say, the sixth inning if a starter goes 5 and dive early or racks up a pitch count of 98 pitches in 5 innings. I would just like to see that they don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4 right down the line with Thielbar, Jax, Lopez, and Duran. They just need that one more guy they can trust. So I think I would try one of those kids. Louis Varland apparently hit like 98 last time out, and so he could be an asset in the bullpen too. I would like to see that, though, as something they try. Maybe not necessarily right now, but in the semi-near future. A lot of people talking too about Alex Kirilloff coming up to play for the Twins. He's been killing everything at AAA, but he's only played back-to-back games twice. Once with the Muscles in Fort Myers and once with the Saints. And he said lots of days after this point, he's obviously hitting everything in sight, but you got to make sure he's okay. You know, he's walking more than he's striking out. He's doing everything you want, but it sounds as though the Twins are more inclined to send him or keep him in St. Paul. And I mean, the alternative is, do you DFA Nick Gordon? Do you send down Willie Castro? You know, what's the option there? Both of those guys can play short and Kirilloff can't. So that makes it kind of difficult. I think more what it'll come down to is if Trevor Larnach doesn't turn things around here in a fairly near term, in the near term, that might be the move. So, and again, too, it just kind of comes down to if you think you have too many guys healthy to help you, that always seems to work itself out. So I'm not spending too much time fretting about it, but he could definitely help this team right now. So I'm hopeful that in some way, shape, or form, some form or fashion, that Kirilloff is up fairly soon. I think this offense, too, is struggling. They're kind of all out of whack with what they're swinging at, which is, too many strikeouts. They're like 25.6%, something like that, 26%. Well above league average, top quarter of the league for sure. And two, I think they're taking fastballs and swinging at off speed and breaking pitches out of the strike zone. The one that comes to mind to me is Carlos Correa taking 2 fastballs, 3-0, 3-1, and then swinging at a slider out of the zone 3-2. And, just what are you prepared for 3-0, 3-1? And why aren't you pulling the trigger? Now, if you fall it off, that's one thing, but watching those pitches to me, tracking those pitches, I don't know if I see as much value in that. But they're still hitting the ball in the air. They're 6th in line drive rate, 6th in launch angle. So the process seems to be, fairly decent. Also see too, people advocating wanting a lot more stolen bases. I don't really see it. Michael A. Taylor has their only stolen base this year. And if you look at this roster, it's not really conducive to stolen bases, even with the bases being 3 inches thicker than before, as the commercial on Bally Sports so famously says. Fangraphs does this thing called Speed Score, and the Twins are a 2.9. That's second to last in MLB ahead of the Rockies. So this is not a team built on speed. And so you can lament all you want that you want this team to run more, but it's just not there. I mean, you could have Byron Buxton run more. I probably wouldn't argue that too much, but again, they're really trying hard to keep him healthy. So far, mostly so good. I mean, I guess I would say so far so good because the primary issue was him running into Lenyn Sosa, and he didn't miss a game. So I don't know. I would be okay with Buxton running a little more, but other than that, excuse me, sorry. They don't have a lot of guys who are going to steal bases. Rocco wins his 300th game on Sunday, and naturally a lot of detractors to that. But cool to see that he's hung around long enough to win 300 games. And yeah, let's take a quick pause. We'll talk about Ultimate Pro Baseball GM. We've been pushing this game for quite a while, but we're competing with all other Locked On MLB hosts. Amazon gift card prizes, $650, $250, and $100. Absolutely phenomenal game to play. If you want to pretend manage your own franchise, again, it's absolutely fantastic. You hire coaches, staff, you manage your finances, scout and draft players, injuries, personalities, all that stuff. It's challenging, realistic, and it's completely playable offline and free. So you can play on the go as often as you'd like. Excuse me. As you wish when you're on the go. So a lot of fun stuff. And again, you get a free 100% boost to your franchise just by using the code Locked On, all caps, one word. And 100% boost, which is a nice little stepping stone out of the gates when you get your franchise started. So if you like other games like this, whether it's MLB The Show, Out of the Park Baseball, all that fun stuff, I would highly recommend checking this out. Ultimate Pro Baseball GM. You can Find it probaseballgm.com or in your app store. All right, let's keep it moving. I am so sorry. I got a tickle in my throat today. The questions that you guys submitted, and it's always fun to have you guys submit questions because you guys are a valuable part of Locked On Twins Nation, we could call it. But it's also, too, just a fun way to maybe have answer questions that I might not have otherwise thought of. So let's just jump right into it. Ben Antal, good personal friend, says, I get that Buxton is recovering from off-season surgery, but it's a little silly having to watch Willie Castro struggle out there. Any chance they'll get Buxton back out there soon? I'm going to write something about this on Access Twins, but honestly, I don't think it's an imminent return. It certainly isn't great to have Willie Castro out there. He has played left field, actually, outside of that jumping catch yesterday, pretty poorly at target field. Not only as a Twin, but he had a play last year too that he absolutely botched. And he's not a good fit in the outfield. Not really a good fit at shortstop either, but he can kind of stand at those two positions. I would say we're at least a month or 3 weeks away from Buxton getting back out there, but that's just me kind of spitballing. Again, I'm so sorry. So I don't think we're anywhere super close to getting Buxton back out there, but I agree with the idea that they should get him back out there. Because I'm just not sure it's that much of an injury avoidance compared to just hitting and running the bases. Jacob Tobin asks, what would be a successful week for the Twins against the Yankees and the Royals? Cleveland, meanwhile, has Colorado and Boston. So it's 7 games, 3 at home against the Yankees, 4 at home against the Royals. And I keep coming back to 4 and 3, which doesn't feel that great, but I think you really got to take 3 of 4 from the Royals. And I think if you can take at least 1 of 3 from the Yankees, it's at least something. 5 and 2 would be ideal. 2 of 3 from the Yankees, 3 of 4 from the Royals. But I feel like that's asking for quite a bit. Also, too, I'm not really watching the standings as of yet. I'm more of a June 1st on kind of guy. So it's I'm not standings watching as much as I am just wanting to see, as Dick Bramer and Bert used to say, you win series. 2 of 3, 3 of 4, 2 of 4, even just splitting the 4, and you're going to have a pretty successful season over the long haul. Aaron wants to know, whose spot does Kirilloff take when or if he comes up? Do you think they'll wait it out longer to avoid DFAing someone just for Kirilloff to have more hand injury issues and be back on the injured list? I mean, they technically wouldn't have to DFA somebody unless it's Nick Gordon, as far as out of options guys. Because Kirilloff is not on the 60. He's only on the 10-day. So he's still on the 40-man roster, which means the only way they DFA is if it's a guy who's out of options. And I think it's hard to say because we don't know where he's going to return in terms of, where the rest of the roster is going to be. I would think Willie Castro would go down rather than DFAing Nick Gordon. But excuse me, I can't say for sure. I think it would be Willie Castro. But the tough decision is probably going to be when Kyle Farmer comes back. And I don't know how close he is. But that's probably when things start breathing down the neck of Nick Gordon, who's off to just a dreadful start. You could also, though, maybe send back Trevor Larnach, who's not hitting all that well. They've got some options. So I don't think of these things too much just because things change. If you would have told me that Kyle Garlick and Matt Wallner would have both been up by this point, I would have thought, oh, geez, here we go again with last year, when it's really been more just, Max Kepler and Joey Gallo getting dinged up. Not serious injuries, but you needed those temporary fill-ins. Kirilloff's not healthy and all that sort of stuff. Who's up next? Eddie says, who's an under-the-radar player in the Twins organization that, if given the opportunity, has this season has a real, not just a guy on the roster potential? It's Brock Stewart. It's got to be Brock Stewart. And I really like Brock Stewart coming up with the Dodgers back in 2018, 2019. It's probably more 2017, I guess. Solid numbers his rookie season, 2016. He was a fairly well-regarded prospect, and that was when the Twins were kind of shopping Brian Dozier to them, and I thought he'd have been a decent prospect to go and get. Career ERA is 6.05, has not pitched in the big league since 2019, but he's had arm issues. He has struck out everyone in sight at AAA so far. He has faced, let's see if I can find the batters faced. He has faced 35 batters and struck out 17 of them, so about 48% or whatever. 17 strikeouts, 2 walks, and 8 2/3 innings. No homers allowed, couple earned runs. I just think if his stuff ticks up in relief, and he's been working mostly the end of games. He's finished 6 games, a couple of saves. I'd have to see what the stuff looks like as far as velo and all that, but I would love to see him get a shot, especially too because the Twins can pretty easily DFA Trevor McGill, who has been an absolute disaster for them this year. McGill has a 13.03 ERA in 9 2/3 innings. He has 16 strikeouts. He has 13 walks and 4 homers allowed. So he's been getting absolutely tattooed. And so, as we said before, if someone claims him, that's fine. And if they don't claim him and he hangs around, that's fine too. He's been absolutely disastrous. So I think Brock Stewart is going to be that guy. But with that said, obviously that remains to be seen as they kind of cycle through pitchers. Devlin Clark wants to know, what do you put on your ballpark hot dog? I'll probably get killed for this, but ketchup, mustard, and either relish, or I was always a big fan of sauerkraut. I used to get, there was a huge hot dog at the Metrodome that was like a foot long, but also like the dome dog thickness. And it was like $9 or $10. Like, it was an actual filling meal for a guy like me at the ballpark. So that was my go-to back in the day. Now, yeah, ketchup, mustard, relish, or sauerkraut, probably lean toward relish. But I haven't been to the ballpark in a while, so I got to get back there. I'm trying to think about what other ones we want to answer. Oh, let's end with this one. Ryan wants to know, hey, I hear there's a former batting champ in Miami who's crushing it. Why don't the Twins trade for him? Oh, we've taken a lot of browbeating over that. Again, sorry, thank you. But I think you make that Lopez for Arise trade all day, every day. I know Lopez struggled in the cool weather against the Nationals. Obviously, a team he's, well, as familiar as you can be with this Nationals roster, because he played in the NL East, but this Nationals roster is basically a glorified AAA team. And I take no excitement in saying that. They're bad. They're very bad, which is all the more reason to be embarrassed that the Twins only won 1 of 3. I think you do that trade all day long. Haven't checked up on Jose Salas or Byron Churio, but Lopez has done enough and will continue to do enough that, excuse me, this trade should be maybe not necessarily a coup, but a good get for the Twins. Their infield is about to get real crowded. Brooks Lee has been just crushing it. Royce Lewis is coming back. So they traded from a position of strength, even if it didn't immediately feel like a position of strength once Jorge Polanco went down, or rather didn't come back right away. So I think everything's going to be fine on the Louis Arise side. And good for the Marlins. They've been getting a lot of production on him. They're a fun young team. They can't play any defense, but they're a lot of fun. So, all right, let's transition to the last portion of the show. Before we do that, thanks for making us your first listen every day. If you are an everydayer, make sure you check out the show Thursday. What am I talking about? Tuesday. We'll break down the first game of the Yankee series, kind of look at what's to come. Twins facing 3 of the 4 pitchers they faced in the series last week. Twins shaking it up a little bit, as putting in Ober in the rotation shakes it up just a little. So, Joe Ryan faced Johnny Brito last time, and it's going to be Sonny Gray this time. That's tonight, 6:40 p.m. See if the Twins can jump all over Brito again. You can catch every pitch of the Twins hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Hang out with Corey and Danny and search Twins on the app, and you'll find that channel for the hometown broadcast. Highly, highly recommended. All right. Well, there's a couple things here I really want to talk to you about before we move into the final segment. BetterHelp is a new sponsor, someone we're talking with. It is basically it's you can talk to somebody. There's strength in admitting that you are needing to speak to someone, needing someone to talk to. I've talked to therapists, well, specifically one here recently, and sometimes you think it might just be words, you think it might just be, oh, I'm just saying things, but they can give you a different perspective on how to deal with your everyday life. And again, no shame in knowing that you need to get a little help, and that's where BetterHelp comes in. You can, it's therapy. It's you talk with a licensed therapist. They take you on that journey. You can text them. You get to do it all from the place of your home. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, talk to BetterHelp. Give them a try. It's entirely online, convenient, flexible. It works within your schedule. All you need to do is fill out a questionnaire. They'll match you with a therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So you go to betterhelp.com/lockedonmlb and get 10% off your first month. So go talk to somebody if you're feeling some things and need to sort them out. I couldn't recommend it more. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonmlb. And another sponsor that we have been working with for a very long time is Built Bar. And guys, I can't emphasize enough how good these are. If you're looking for a delicious snack, you don't want all that sugar and junk that's in the candy bars. Built Bars, they're the way to go. They're covered in dark chocolate. You've got amazing flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, cookies and cream. Taste amazing. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 17 grams of protein. So just like your protein bars, no sugar, dark chocolate. I mean, you can't get any better. You can get them at Sam's Club. They have 13-pack boxes, or you can get a 4-pack in Walmart or a pharmacy, in the pharmacy section at Walmart. There's all kinds of them. They're not only healthy, but they just taste absolutely incredible. You've got to try them. And you don't have to wait to get a box. So you can get them at Walmart or Sam's Club, or you can order them online, built.com. A lot of fun stuff. I cannot emphasize enough, though, that you need to get out and try these Built Bars because they are absolutely terrific. Now, let's come down the home stretch. The pitching matchups for this series, Sonny Gray and Johnny Brito, Joe Ryan and Nestor Cortez, and Kenta Maeda against that doggone rosin using Domingo Germán in the final game of the series. It'll be curious to see how the Twins fare facing starting pitchers in such close proximity, because it's each of them have made one start since. Excuse me again. Johnny Brito wasn't as bad against the Twins last time out against the Angels, but still only went 4 1/3 with an earned run, 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. So didn't go deep into the game. The onus will be on the Twins to get him out early. Twins are 7-8 at home against the Yankees since 2017, 4-18 at Yankee Stadium. So, and 2 of those wins came this year. So yeah, coming back to Target Field, you feel like they have a better shot. There's just something about that environment in the Bronx that just makes you uncomfortable as a Twins fan, but uncomfortable, I think, as a Twins player. Yankees 5-5 in their last 10. So they're not lighting the world on fire, but they did take 2 of 4 from the Twins. They have a plus 21 run differential. So when you look at the AL East, 4 of the 5 teams have a plus run differential. The Blue Jays are the only negative, and they're -4. Over to the AL Central side, and the Twins are the only team positive at plus 12. So if the Twins were in the AL East, they'd be 7 games out of first place behind the surging Tampa Bay Rays. The Yankees themselves, 6 games out. They are 13-9. Twins are 12-10. So very similar starts for these two teams. Personally, I don't look at the standings until June, so I'm not really worried about how far out or how far up a team is. But this Central has been absolutely dreadful. The division is a combined 42-66. I'll say it again, 42-66. It's a .389 winning percentage. The NL West is the next worst division at 50-64, a .439 winning percentage. So literally 50 points difference in winning percentage. Thursday through Saturday last week, the AL Central was a combined 1-10. Kansas City got the only win over that stretch, and it was on Saturday. A win over the Angels. And I had a friend text me who said that there was a stretch where the AL Central lost 12 straight games. The math on that gets kind of tricky because when games end, when games start, so on and so forth. The math is tricky on saying the teams are 0 for 12 over a span when you maybe count a team's game on one day and not a team's game on another. And nevertheless, I went under the hood and 1-10 over a 2-game span, a couple of double headers in there that were swept. We call it the AL mid division for a reason because it's just been ugly. Like I said, one team with a positive run differential. It's your Minnesota Twins. So we'll see if they can jump all over Johnny Brito, probably not like they did last time they faced him. That was one of 5 times since 2000 that a Yankees starting pitcher allowed 7+ runs in a first inning. And it's kind of a fun list too, because I looked it up. There was like Phil Hughes, Masahiro Tanaka, Nathan Eovaldi, and then El Duque, Orlando Hernandez back in 2000. So Johnny Brito on the side of infamy, which obviously you don't like to see if you're a Yankees fan. But if you're a Yankees fan, you are probably not listening to us. Anyway, that's all we have for today. Thank you for stopping by. If you are an everydayer, well, first of all, we thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. If you're an everydayer, easy for me to say, come hang out tomorrow. We'll talk about this first game of the Yankee series. We'll have a breathless pre- and post-game minute today once the lineups come out. And, we'll just have a lot of fun with you. And other than that, make sure you're following at Locked On Twins, at Locked On MIN for Minnesota. And, of course, me at Brandon_WARNE. Subscribe on YouTube. Give us a like, a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. If you like the show, tell others. If you don't, tell me, and I will do my best to make it better. That's all we got for you, though. This is Brandon Warren signing off saying thank you so much, and don't forget to stop by tomorrow.